So in the last class, we had discussed some aspects related to the preamble. Now in today's class, one or two more aspects which are related to preamble that we need to understand. The first one is the concept of democracy. You see, democracy is a combination of two words. Demos plus Gratia. Demos means people and Gratia means rule. So, democracy here will mean rule by the people. Now, when we analyze the concept of democracy, when we need to understand the meaning of democracy, democracy has got different manifestations. And first of all, whenever we talk about democracy, first of all we talk about democracy as a form of government. When we say democracy as a form of government, it is the most popular understanding of democracy. Now, whenever we say democracy as a form of government, what is included in that? What is at the back of our mind? First of all, it is the presence of more than one political party then the government is elected in regular elections there is universal adult suffrage suffrage and franchise are the same words. Then there is freedom of press, then there is rule by the majority, but respect for minority rights, then rights and liberties enjoyed by the citizens. So, in brief, whenever we say that democracy is a form of government, such ideas come in our mind. Basically, this is the concept of a liberal democracy. So, in a liberal society, in a liberal country, the emphasis is on the procedure of democracy. Then, when we talk about the other aspect of democracy, so ये तो सबसे पॉपुलर है, the democracy as a form of government. Then, when we talk about democracy, the second understanding of democracy is democracy as an ideal. We talk about a democratic society. Sometimes, even if there is monarchy, the people of that country say that our king is democratic. Our king is democratic. So, basically it is a symbolic thing. So, when we talk about democracy as an ideal, it means a society where there is or where prevails justice, equality, and liberty. So here basically we talk about the virtues, the values, the democratic ethos. So sometimes when you are not a part of the decision making process, what you say? That our leader is a Hitler, he is a dictator, because he is not taking into consideration the views of the people. So basically democracy as a form of government, it is a procedural democracy. When we say democracy as an ideal, here we are talking about a democratic society where the values of democracy will be there. Marx talked about a democratic society because Marx was of the view that when the state will not be there, democracy as a form of government will no longer be there. Because if the state is not there, how the government will be there? But there should be the values, the democratic values like justice, like liberty, equality in the society. Then, third point you can write here. The success of democracy is based on rationality. Full stop. In other words, it can be said that democracy is based on rational thinking, as the decisions are arrived at, through mutual discussion, So such type of understanding based statements may be there in your prelims examination, that which of the following statement is correct regarding democracy. The success of democracy depends on rational thinking. If the people will not think in a rational way, obviously democracy will not survive. Now, coming to the second part of our discussion, as a political system, when we talk about democracy, basically broadly speaking, we have got democracy and dictatorship. The manifestation of dictatorship can be in the form of a military dictator, it can be in the form of a one-party system, it can be in the form of monarchy and personalist regimes also. Means one man controlling the whole country. Done. So earlier it was there. Now in some of the countries we have got such type of personalist regimes. But we are more concerned with democracy. Whenever we talk about democracy in the world, we have seen that the countries have adopted either direct democracy or indirect democracy. In a direct democracy, there is direct participation of the people in the process of governance. On the other hand, when we talk about indirect democracy, it is ruled through the representatives. It is also known as representative democracy. In most of the countries of the world, we have this representative democracy. We elect our representatives and after that we are busy in our own work. For example, in India also see, we elect the members of the Lok Sabha, our government is elected and after that we are not bothered about what is happening. Similarly, if you talk about America, the American president is elected, there the legislature is elected and then the people, they forget everything and they do their own work. And after 4 years, they take part in the election of the president again. So basically we are accustomed with such type of system, that is indirect democracy. But many of us may not be aware that how direct democracy really works, because we have not seen the working. Here we have seen the working. We elect our representatives, then after that we are busy in our own work. After 5 years again we elect our representatives. Now here as a political system, we are concerned about the way in which the direct democracy works, because such type of questions may be asked in the prelims examination. So what are the devices of direct democracy? It is important from the prelims point of view. Initiative, referendum, recall, and plebiscite. These are the four devices of direct democracy. Now, one by one, I'll tell you that what are these devices. First of all, coming to initiative. What is initiative? You can write it. It is a device by which people initiate the laws, to be made. The people initiate the laws to be made. So, when we say the people initiate, means if the majority of the voters, they will request the state to make laws on certain aspects, then the laws will be made. The people will initiate. Then, referendum is a device by which a law made by the state is referred to the people for their approval. So suppose you people are the voters, you have requested me, I am the state, I will make the law. What happens in an indirect democracy? The law is made, the head of the state signs it, it is notified in the Gazette and it is implemented. But in direct democracy, the laws will be made, then it will be referred to the people, and just as elections take place, people will come and they will take yes or no. If the majority of the voters, they approve the law which is made, then only the law will be implemented. That is referendum. Then recall. It is a device by which the elected representatives can be called back if the majority wishes. So during the term of the representatives, if the people feel that our representative is not working well, he has not been able to discharge the responsibilities, then if the majority wishes, they can call him back. And then plebiscite is a device by which the views of the people can be ascertained, on a question of political importance, Suppose if there is in this country, the voters will be asked to give their views that whether there should be one nation, one election, it will be a plebiscite. Means the views of the people will be ascertained. Suppose if the people of Jammu and Kashmir are asked that whether Jammu and Kashmir should be given autonomy or not, it will be a plebiscite. It will not be a referendum. Referendum is a law that is made. It is referred to the people for approval. Plebiscite, a law has not been made, but the views of the people is being ascertained that what is your view on this. Now, when we talk about these devices of direct democracy, the direct democracy basically can be successful only when there will be small size of the state, and it may not be feasible where there is diversity also, because the demands can clash. So, in a country like India, direct democracy may not be feasible because of the size of the country, the population, and the diversity which is there. And not only this, the type of election system that we have, we cannot have recall in this country. So, basically people sometimes feel that we can go for a recall in this country, but recall is also not possible. Why? You see that whenever we talk about our election system, for that we will have to understand our election system. In our country, what type of election system that we follow? We follow, it is an extra information that I am giving you. We follow the first past the post system. This first past the post system is used in India to elect the members of the Lok Sabha, the State Legislative Assembly, and the Gram Panchayats. And in this first past the post system, a candidate who relatively gets more number of votes is declared as the winner. Who relatively gets more number of votes. Now, what is this relatively more number of votes? You see, suppose we have these 5 candidates. A suppose has got 2100 votes, B gets 1890 votes, C gets 1900 votes, D gets 2120 votes and E gets 900 votes. Who will be the winner here? D is the winner here. Now, no doubt D is the winner, but D is not liked by the majority. D is not liked by the majority. Because if you talk about this system, why D is the winner? Because in comparison to other, D has got more number of votes. But if you add on the votes of A, B, C and E, his votes will be much lesser than the others. This is the problem that we are facing in India in many constituencies. No doubt the candidate becomes the winner, but he is not liked by the majority. So from the first day, this person is not a popular person. In comparison to others, he has got the maximum number of votes, but he has not got more than 50% of the total votes. So, if recall is there, then from the very first day, he will be prone to recall. So, generally, we will not be able to assess his popularity. If the elections would have been held on the basis of majority, that is, if a person gets more than 50% of the valid votes, then gradually the popularity would have been tested. Gradually he has lost the popular support. Earlier he had the popular support. But from the day one, he is not popular. No doubt, some of our candidates, they get elected by popular support. They get by a margin of 3 lakhs, 4 lakhs, 5 lakhs votes. We have got candidates. But in many of the constituencies, we have got this pattern. In the Vidhan Sabha elections, a candidate gets 1000 votes more than the others, he gets elected. Even 500 votes more than the others, he gets elected. Done. So, recall may also not be possible in India. Referendum is not possible in India, simple because of the illiteracy that we are having in this country. And not only illiteracy, in our country people are not aware about the issues. You people may have started reading the newspaper because of the compulsion of the examination. Done. And even though many of the students who are appearing for the civil services examination, they may not be able to understand the issue, what is going on. Done. Even if I teach for 1 year also, I will tell you a brute reality. 1 year also, after that the students when they meet, sir, I have not understood what is parliament. Yes, even after 6 months of attending the classes for civil services, the students are not aware about the concept of legislature, that what is the structure of legislature at the state level, what is the structure of the legislature at the central level. So, it means that they don't have an aptitude to understand the things. So, we are talking about the so-called educated people. What about those who do not get 2 square meals a day in this country? So, vote mein to theek hai, they get directed by the family members, by the clan leaders, but here, suppose if the parliament has made a law on GST, people even the MP, MLAs are not aware about the technicalities of GST. They vote in the party line in the legislature. How we will vote in the referendum? So, until and unless there will be awareness in the civil society, this referendum may not be possible. Now, where it is used? Basically, it is used in, we can say, case of constitutional laws in Switzerland. You can write as note. Direct democracy is in practice to some extent in Switzerland. In Switzerland. Full stop. In Switzerland, initiative and referendum are in practice in case of constitutional laws. So when we say constitutional laws, what does it mean? That the people, they initiate the amendments to be made in the constitution, and after an amendment bill is passed by the legislature, it is referred to the people for their approval. But only for the constitutional laws, not for ordinary laws, not for day-to-day laws. So if a constitution amendment has to be done, then the initiative has to be taken by the people. No doubt in the cantons, just as we have got states in India, in Switzerland they are known as cantons. So cantons are very small. So the cantons have been given the privilege that you can have the initiative and referendum even for the ordinary laws. It completely depends on the cantons. But at the national level, initiative and referendum is only for the constitutional laws. Then in some other countries like France, we have seen referendum in some cases. So in the next paragraph you can write, referendum is in practice. Referendum is in practice in France to some extent. First, the French president can refer a constitution amendment bill passed by the legislature to the people in a national referendum. Then secondly, he can refer an international treaty or an agreement international treaty or an agreement signed by France to the people in a national referendum. Then next, as per the French Constitution, the French president can ask the legislature to refer any law passed by it on social security, past by it, on social security, comma, to the people in a national referendum, in a national referendum. What is social security? Old age pension, widow pension, affirmative actions, then special provisions for the people with disabilities. These are social security measures. Means it will have a burden on the state exchequer. So if such type of laws are made, mandatorily that has to be referred to the people in a national referendum. If the people say yes, then only the social security laws will be implemented in France. French civil society is very much developed. People are aware about their rights, about their duties, everything. So it is not that we should imitate. Now if someone will ask you that what type of democracy, what model of democracy can be suggested so as to ensure the maximum participation of the people. Done. So here we can suggest the model of participatory democracy. So in the next paragraph you can write type of democracy which may be feasible in India, to ensure maximum participation of the people, Here you can write direct democracy may not be feasible in India. Direct democracy may not be feasible in India because of its large population, comma, lack of awareness among the people, with respect to issues w.r.t, with respect to issues and the type of election system that we have, full stop. But what can be feasible in India is the model of participatory democracy, that is strengthening the grassroots democratic institutions like the Gram Sabhas and Gram Panchayats making the political parties and bureaucracy more responsive to the people and increasing the participation of the workers in decision making at the workplace. How many of you do not know the difference between Gram Sabha and Gram Panchayat? Rest all of you know the difference between Gram Sabha and Gram Panchayat? Okay. You see, when we say Gram Sabha consists of all the voters of the village. Suppose if we people are living in the village and if our name is there in the voters list, we all will be the members of the Gram Sabha. And Gram Panchayat consists of the elected representatives. Suppose we are the members of the Gram Sabha, means every voter will be the member of the Gram Sabha. Done? Then when we say Gram Panchayats, the whole village will be divided into wards. Just as in the urban areas also we have got wards, we elect our councillors. Similarly, at the rural level also, in a village the wards are there. Ward number 1, 2, 3, 4. And the voters of each ward elect their representatives. And the elected representatives are termed as the members of the Gram Panchayat. So, the people of the village, that is the members of the Gram Sabha, the members of the Gram Panchayats, they must be aware about the local issues, the problem of the village. So, they should be involved in the decision making at the local level. Then when we say making the political parties and the bureaucracy more responsive to the people, responsive and responsible, these are two different things. When we say responsive, how a political party will be responsive to the people? Why I have written it? Because you see, the problem in our society is the problem of alienation. Today, the common man is alienated from politics. He is alienated from administration. That this is not our cup of tea. This is the business, this is the work of some other group of people. So why we are alienated? Because we have not been made a part of the system. And the political parties can become responsive to the needs of the people. How that can be made? Firstly, before making the election manifesto, the political party should consult the voters. What is your problem? And Suppose if the state elections are being held, then first of all, the issues of the constituency, then the issues of the state. So, the issues have to be highlighted. So, if the voter looks into the election manifesto, oh, I had given this suggestion and this has been incorporated by this political party. So, he will feel, we can say, liking the political system, that no, they are hearing us. Then not only this, while using the MP Local Area Development Fund or the MLA Local Area Development Fund, the people need to be consulted. It is not that arbitrarily the MP or the MLA, he should start using the funds. He should call the Mohalla Sabha, that is the people of the society should be called. Okay, I have got 5 crores, but I cannot invest everything here. For this particular area, I want to invest 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs. What is your priority? Let the people come up with the ideas that we want an open air gym, we want some high mast lights here, we want an ambulance here. Let the people, we want a shade for the bus stand, and then the MP or the MLA should accordingly divert the money. That is how the people should be involved in the democratic process. And then while making the policies, the bureaucracy should consult the common people also. At the urban level, the police officers, they should be in touch with the resident welfare associations. At the local level, at the rural areas also, the officers should be in touch with the common masses. That is what the Prime Minister had said to the bureaucrats, that now your role has changed. It is not rule-based governance, but role-based governance is important. You should not always show the people the rule, that this is the rule. In the paper of governance, your teacher will discuss these things with you. That is how the things are changing. The bureaucrats are not supposed to work according to the rules only. What is your role in the society? That role has become more important. And playing the role, the bureaucrats should respond to the needs of the people. And that is why the Prime Minister has said that the bureaucrats should spend some time in the districts also. It is not that they will only be sitting in their offices. They should visit the places, they should talk to the people, they should be aware about the problems of the people. So, the people will have faith in such type of bureaucracy. They will take part in the decision making process. And then increasing the participation of the workers in the decision making at the workplace. So, basically, people at the workplace may be aware that what problems they are facing, what facilities they need, and they should be consulted while a policy is being made for them. So, such type of approach has to be there. It is a neo-Marxian idea. This idea of participatory democracy, it is a neo-Marxian idea. But you see, we should not feel that this particular ideology is untouchable ideology. That is, Marxism is untouchable, for the Marxists, the liberals are untouchable. Let them be. But for us, the good aspects of every ideology has to be taken care of. So, such type of understanding based things has to be there in your mind. If someone will ask you, if you need to write the idea of democracy, that is the idea of Indian democracy. So, it is not that you should write the stereotype things. So, at the end, you should conclude that for better participation of the people, we can suggest the model of participatory democracy. Then you will be different from the other students. Otherwise, they will just write the common things which are there in a democratic system. Now, if someone will ask you, even in the interviews, 75 years of Indian independence, what has been the biggest gain of India? Why we should be proud of being an Indian? None. So, what has been one of the major achievements of India in the last 75 years? Only one achievement if someone will ask, then you should not say GDP has increased, useless things. You should simply say that for the last 75 years, India has been a stable democracy. India has been a stable democracy. No military coup in the country. And you see, along with India, some other countries had got independence, but they are not stable democracies. Not only this, the most important part of Indian democracy is there is respect for civil supremacy even by the armed forces. See Pakistan, there is no respect for civil supremacy. The army dictates the terms. But here in India, it is the respect for civil supremacy even by the armed forces. Such type of understanding has to be there. So we have been a stable democracy. Now if someone will ask you that, because in democracy people can talk much. So if some people will ask you that, do you think that democracy has been successful in India? You should say that yes, democracy has been successful in India to a large extent. Because when we talk about the procedural aspect of democracy, in India we have got more than one political party competing for people's vote. We have universal adult suffrage. The governments are being changed through elections. These are positive things. Rights and liberties are there through the constitution. It is freedom through the constitution that is being guaranteed. So there are enough rights and liberties which have been given to the people. So we can say that yes, we are a democracy. But the concern here is the substance of democracy. The procedure of them, because when you are asked to critically analyze the democracy in India, so no doubt the procedural aspect of democracy may be there, but the substance of democracy may be missing in the country. No doubt we have a multi-party system, but there is lack of inner party democracy. In none of the political parties we have seen inner party democracy. Most of the parties in India are mass parties. They revolve around one person, and basically they are because of why? Because one party had created, one person had created the political party, and basically his family rules or takes over the reins of that political party. So no doubt we have one party, we can say we have multi-party system, but there is lack of inner party democracy. So when democracy is not there inside a political party, how you can think of democracy in the country? No doubt elections are held in this country at regular intervals, but in the election parochial elements prevail. Religion, caste, regional identities, they play important role in the elections. And in case of India, it is said that people do not cast their vote, they vote for their caste. People do not cast their vote, they vote for their caste. You see the Karnataka elections, everyone came to know that there is something called Lingayat. Yes, Lingayats are there. Everyone came to know in this country. Now, Rajasthan elections, everyone will come to know about the caste. Oh, this constituency, this much caste people are there. That should not be the priority in democracy. In democracy, developmental issues should be the priority, not the parochial elements like caste, religion, they should not be there. People here are not considered as voters, they are considered as vote banks. Oh, he belongs to that caste, means he will vote for that political party. He belongs to this religion, he will vote for that political party. This is a big question mark. And not only this, when we talk about the other aspects in Indian democracy, that is, then what we have seen is that there is a fatal triangle which is present in India. The politicians, the business, and the criminals. It is a nexus. politician, business and criminal nexus. And if we talk about this aspect, never write bureaucracy. It is business, politicians and criminal nexus. Earlier what used to be the thing was that the criminals used to help the politicians in coming to power, in rigging the elections. But nowadays, the tendency that we see is that the people having criminal backgrounds, they are coming into politics. The people, why we will support others? We ourselves will become politicians. We will contest the election. That is a tendency. We call it as criminalization of politics, or the role of money and muscle power So criminalization of politics, that is the role of the muscle power, it is dominating. Then not only this, corruption in public life, that is also a matter of concern in India. And the way in which our legislatures are working, we can term it as the decline of the parliament. There is absence of discipline among the members. Then, so when we talk about the procedure of democracy, we are following the procedures of democracy. If we talk about democracy as a form of government, we have got these features. But when we talk about the substance of democracy, there can be a big question mark on democracy in India. So if you need to write an essay also, Indian democracy at crossroads. So first of all, you will introduce what is democracy, then why we say that India is a democracy, means the good aspects of Indian democracy. Then what has been the success story of democracy in India, and what is the success story? I told you that there has not been a single military coup in this country. There is respect for civil supremacy in this country. All these things are good. We have strengthened the democracy at the grassroots level, and the 73rd and 74th Amendment Acts, they have provided for democratic institutions at the grassroots level. The Panchayati Raj institutions, the municipal bodies, they have been created as another tier of democratic government in India. So these are all good aspects. Done? So not only this, there has been provision for reservation for women along with the deprived sections, the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes in the local bodies also. And an amendment has been moved in the constitution for providing reservation for women in the Lok Sabha as well as in the Legislative Assembly. So these are the positive aspects, because you have to, in an essay you need to write the positive things also. But when it comes to the substance of democracy, there is a big question mark. That is where we are heading towards. And then you should critically analyze the democracy in India. And finally, when you need to conclude, you should say that several steps are being taken by the Election Commission to strengthen the democratic system in India. Earlier, basically, booth capturing was very common. Criminalization during election was very common. But nowadays, the elections are being conducted in a very peaceful manner, except some exceptional situation. West Bengal is an exception, that is a different thing. But many notorious, so-called notorious states, they have improved a lot, we can say. Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Haryana, to name some states. Here, the elections are being conducted in a very peaceful manner. I said West Bengal has become an exception. Done. But yes, overall, the elections are being conducted in a very peaceful manner in this country. That is an achievement. People's participation is increasing in the election, thanks to the awareness campaign which is being undertaken by the Election Commission. Study also, you know, I got a speed post from the Election Commission of India, and they gave a new they have issued a new identity card for all of us. And not only this, it was not just only a card that they sent. Along with it, how you need to vote, a pamphlet was also given, a booklet was also given. This is the awareness, why you need to vote, the good aspects were written there. So that is why you see that the voting percentage is increasing, the voters turnout is increasing in the country. So you need to write about such type of things. So good, so because the conclusion has to be positive, because you are going to be the bureaucrats. No doubt negative things are there. And even the Supreme Court has given its ruling on criminalization of politics, electoral reforms, that also you need to write. It is not that, sir, what we should write. Many things are there so that you can write. But when it is critical analysis, you need to write about, you need to analyze the things critically also. It is not that you are criticizing the government as such. You are describing a phenomena. That is how, and then because you are concerned about the way in which democracy is functioning in this country. Because if you are not aware about the problems, how you will be able to give solution to the problem? So we need to be very positive when we are on this side, means when we are administrators. Problems will be there in the society. In our body also we have got many problems. But yes, we try to tackle those problems. So in a country also there are different type of problems. But yes, we need to tackle those problems. That is why we are being selected to be the civil servants in the country. So we need to be very much positive also. Now, this was an idea about democracy, because the concept of democracy is a very, we can say, often used term. Now coming to another term, it is republic. Republic, we all know, it is a state where the head of the state is an elected one. Is an elected one and is not a hereditary monarch. So, India has a president who is an elected one, he is not a hereditary monarch. So, this was the first thing, that is the adjectives which are attached to the word republic. So, what are the adjectives which are attached to the word republic? Sovereign, socialist, secular and democratic. These are the adjectives which are attached to the expression republic. Because what type of republic we want to have? Sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. Done. And these adjectives are defendable even in the contemporary times. If you talk about, that is how far these adjectives are relevant in the contemporary times. These adjectives are relevant in the because such type of unplanned questions can be asked in the examination, that what are the adjectives attached to the expression republic and how far they can be defendable in the contemporary times. So here you are not supposed to write about what is secularism, what is socialism, how far they are defendable in the contemporary times. The idea of sovereignty is still relevant, and India takes all the, because we are in the era of interdependence. So in this era of interdependence, in this era of liberalization, the concept of an independent foreign policy still holds good. Done? Then not only this, if you talk about the world politics that is evolving today, you need to have an independent foreign policy, and the only guiding principle of the foreign policy has to be the national interest, which fluctuates from time to time. What stand we need to have? in the Israel-Palestine crisis which is going on, what stand we need to have in the Russia-Ukraine crisis. It is, these things have become very important today. Done. So today also India clearly said that we should work towards the sovereignty of the Palestinian state. Done. So what happens is that what type, so independent foreign policy, sovereignty has become, we should not be guided by the thoughts of the other countries. Then when we talk about socialism, socialism is still relevant in the contemporary times because welfareism is as important today as it was in the earlier times. The thing that we had discussed in the last class. To check uneven development, to initiate welfare of the people, the ideal of socialism is still relevant. And in the era when intolerance is increasing in the society, the concept of secularism, that is equal honor to all the faiths, equal treatment to all the faiths, is still relevant. And democracy, not only as a form of government but as an ideal in the society, is relevant. Such type of, so here how they are relevant you need to write. It is not that you should write democracy and then you start writing, secularism you start writing, because the question is how far these adjectives are defendable in the contemporary times. Then they are not asking you to explain the adjectives which are there, how far they are defendable. Such questions are understanding based questions in the main examination. This was one part of our discussion. Now coming to the next part. From here the questions in the prelims are asked. From here also some questions in the prelims will be asked. These are aspirations. The preamble talks about justice, social, economic, and political. Social justice is to be achieved through articles 15, 16 and some directive principles. Because what we had discussed in the beginning, that the preamble contains the philosophy of the constitution. So the articles are there, and one word that has been mentioned in the preamble is justice social. How we will be discussing these aspects when we are discussing the fundamental rights and the directive principles. Then economic justice has to be achieved through articles 39 clause B and 39 clause C. These two articles, they aim to achieve the end of economic justice. I'll all be explaining it when I'll be explaining the directive principles to you. Political justice through some fundamental rights and Article 326, right to vote. Article 326 provides for universal adult suffrage. So, in the prelims examination, question can be that which of the following provisions of the constitution aim to achieve the objective of economic justice? Articles 39 clause B and 39 clause C. Then the preamble talks about liberty, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship. Liberty of thought and expression has to be achieved through Article 19, Clause 1, Subclause A, and belief, faith, and worship Articles 25 and 26. So this is one part from where the questions can be asked in the prelims examination from liberty, that the preamble envisages which type of liberty. The answer will be liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship. But there can be some understanding based statements in the prelims examination from liberty. So I will tell you some statements you can write as note. Note number 1, liberty means absence of restraints. Absence of restraints. This is the concept of negative liberty. It is the concept of negative liberty. The liberalism, when it started in the 17th century, it was the concept of a negative state, and the state was considered as a necessary evil. Why the state was necessary? It was necessary for the maintenance of law and order, the police state. But why the state was considered as an evil? Because the state put restrictions on the freedom of the individuals. So the state was considered as a necessary evil, and the classical liberals, means the liberals of the earlier times, what they used to say, all restraint, qua restraint is an evil. All restraint means any restraint, qua means any type of restraint, even if it is a minor restriction, it is an evil. So from there we have come to this direction that liberty means absence of restraints. There should be no restrictions on the freedom of the individual, that is liberty. It is the concept of negative liberty. Then second point you can write, note number 2. Liberty means presence of conditions under which an individual can enjoy his or her freedom. It is the concept of positive liberty. In the first point it was freedom from the state. The away you are from the state, the more free you are. Here it is freedom through the state. It is freedom through the state. Means the state will provide the conditions under which an individual can enjoy his freedom. You see, we had discussed in the last class that the concept of liberalism was challenged by Karl Marx during the Industrial Revolution. So, at that point of time, the concept of negative liberty was prevailing. The concept of the minimal state, the concept of a police state, the state will not interfere in the developmental functions. The state will only perform the role of a policeman. So, when Karl Marx challenged the ideology of liberalism, then the liberals, they changed their view from negative liberty to positive liberty. They started talking about welfareism, that is freedom through the state. Means the state will provide those conditions under which you will be able to enjoy your freedom. Means we will talk about your rights, you can say our responsibilities towards you in the constitution. Now in the prelims examination, if the question which of the following statement is correct regarding liberty, or which of the following statement best explains liberty, done, and if either of these statements are there, obviously you will encircle it, but suppose if both the statements are there and you will have to encircle only one, both are correct, then the second one, because it is the concept of a welfare state. Presence of the conditions means the state will provide you the opportunities in which you will be able to enjoy your freedom. Such type of, that is why the students get confused in such type of questions. There is both the things are, we can say, justified. One is the concept of negative liberty, other one is the concept of positive liberty. So I do not want to give advantage to the students who appear only in PSIR, means who read PSIR as an optional paper, and they have got a chance, because in optional paper they read such type of things. In the GS paper, the teachers, they really talk about such type of things. That is why the students who have not opted for PSIR, they sometimes lag behind when some conceptual questions are asked. But my target is to bring those who are not deprived but who have not read PSIR to the par with the students who have read that subject. यही पढ़ते हैं वो लोग डिटेल में, समझ रहे हो ना, तो उनका एडवांटेज होता है इन द एग्जामिनेशन. अब आज ये एडवांटेज आपके पास भी है. नहीं, that is why I discuss these things in detail, because it is not that everyone will be studying PSIR also, it is not feasible also. एक दो result हो जाने से it does not mean that it is the most popular one. It does not mean that. Every optional paper is justified if you have got interest in that subject. Done. तो है, वो अपने interest पे depend करता है. So it does not mean that if you will take this optional paper you will compete, you will take this optional paper you will compete. Even the students compete by taking anthropology, they take geography, they compete, they take law, they compete, even by taking commerce they compete. It hardly matters, ठीक है ना. But ठीक है, our responsibility is to bring you at par. ये तो दो statements. Another statement that can be asked in the examination, law and liberty. Are not opposed to each other. And law is a necessary precondition of liberty. Some people feel that when there is law, means people will not be able to enjoy their freedom. The state or the law is a restriction, but it is not like that. Without law, you will not be able to enjoy your freedom. Why? because it will be the survival of the strongest. It is called Matsya Nyaya. In Matsya Nyaya, what happens? The bigger fish, it eats the smaller fishes. That is Matsya Nyaya. So if law will not be there, in the absence of law, the strongest will have the say. That is why there must be law. Then only the people will be able to enjoy their liberty. So they are not opposed to each other. Such questions are basically the questions of jurisprudence. Then people generally feel that these questions are the questions of jurisprudence, questions of law. It is not like that. These questions are questions of general understanding. जनरल अंडरस्टैंडिंग, ये तो कॉमन चीज है ना. बट हाँ, स्टूडेंट्स का क्या होता है ना, माइंडसेट इन द एग्जामिनेशन इज समथिंग डिफरेंट. एट दैट पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम दे आर नॉट एबल टू थिंक सो मच ऑल्सो, बिकॉज इट इज आवर फॉल्ट ऑल्सो. वी हैव नॉट मेड देम अ थिंकिंग ब्रेन. We have not made our students who appear in the civil service examination as a thinking brain. We need to make them a thinking brain, because these questions are completely based on the thought process. Because if such questions are there, I have not read it, there is nothing called reading it. Law is necessary, otherwise the who will dominate? The powerful one will dominate. Then if red light will not be there, then obviously there will be anarchy. There has to be law, then only everyone will be able to enjoy liberty. How we will be able to move freely on the street even at night? If the law is there. If the law is there. If the state will not protect your freedom, then obviously you will not be able to move freely outside. Law is a necessary. So these are thought-provoking things. But in the examination, what happens? The students, basically they are under so much of pressure that they are not able to understand such type of questions. They feel that, sir, nowadays the questions are very difficult in the polity section. How to answer it? So the things are not difficult. You all people are very rational being. That you will have to understand. And these are all rationality based questions. So such questions can be asked from liberty. Then, next, coming to equality. The preamble talks about equality of status and of opportunity. Equality of status, it is mentioned in article number 15 and of opportunity in article number 16. Then we have got another term in the preamble, that is the concept of fraternity. Fraternity is the concept of universal brotherhood. That is the concept of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the G20 logo that you may have seen everywhere. What is that concept? That is the concept of universal brotherhood. That is the concept of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. That is, we all are the sons and daughters of the same soil. This is the most important aspiration that I personally feel, which is missing in this country. And why, you see, we have got communal tensions in the country, because we do not feel that the other person is also a part of this society. He is a Hindu, he is a Muslim, he is a Christian, he is a Sikh. So, it is not that we all are the sons and daughters of the same soil. Why the dignity of women is not respected in this society? Because we feel that this lady, that lady is not the part of our family. Done. So, that affection is not there. So, when that affection is not there, the concept of fraternity is not there. That is why we do not give respect to the dignity of women. Not only this, not only dignity of women, but also the dignity of our fellow beings. Why we do not treat many of us, many of the members of society in a dignified manner? Oh, he is a rickshaw puller. He is a sabji vendor. He is a vegetable vendor. Not only this, you may have seen, obviously, I hope that we treat them in a better way. We can call them even uncle, bhaiya, whatever it is, as a mark of respect, because they are also the part of our society. The security guards, everyone needs to be treated with dignity. And why? Because we'll have to understand that they are also the part of this society. That is this concept of fraternity. That is why the preamble says that, and to promote among them all fraternity. It has been written first, fraternity, assuring the dignity. Fraternity will lead to the assuring of dignity. Not only dignity of women, dignity of labor. It has also to be respected. And unity and integrity of the nation. Because if fraternity is not there, then obviously you will not be united and you will not be integrated. That is, we all are the sons and daughters of the same soil. That is why what we say that national integration is a challenge in India. Why we say that? There is communalism in the country. Why there is a question mark on secularism as an ideal? Because fraternity is not there. Why caste-based violences are taking place in this country? Why tribal identities are, we can say, are clashing with each other? It is because we don't have a sense of fraternity in this country. So, fraternity is a very wide term, and it is one of the most important terms which is there in the preamble. This is the philosophy of the Constitution which has been mentioned in the preamble of the Constitution.
Sir, if we remove secularism from the Constitution, and because many communist countries are growing and developed because they are in a single consensus. So, what if the question comes that if the secularism is a compromise for a limited period of time, how can the nation can develop?
When we say, the question basically that your friend was talking about was that whether we should remove the word secular from the preamble. That is what you want to say?
Ideology for a limited period of time for the development and growth of the nation.
How secularism is affecting the development of your country?
Because we are.
If India will be declared as a Hindu state, it will be a developed state? Then?
But we are.
No, what is but? Your answer I have got. You have got your answer. Pakistan is a theocratic state, Islamic Republic. If it is a developed state? No. For that, a secular society has to be there, where everyone should feel a part of the development process. That yes, we belong to this country belongs to everyone, irrespective of religion, caste. Done. It is not only, that is what I said, it is an ideal to be achieved. It is an ideal, because you see that I do not know the caste, the religion of everyone or anyone. I don't know it. Done. But I have got an affection towards you. But the day in which your country will be declared as a Hindu Rashtra, then what will happen? Oh, what he is doing, it is a Hindu Rashtra. And the people who are contributing in the nation building process, even though they are not Hindus, they will feel betrayed. That will not be in the good humor of the country's development. Done. Words hardly matters. Words, that is what? There is another problem in the understanding of the concept. People generally feel that inserting a word in the preamble will make a big difference. It hardly matters. The word secular, the word socialist was not there in the original preamble also. In the original preamble, the words were sovereign democratic republic. But that does not mean that India was not a secular country. India was not a because the provisions of the constitution are like that. Article 15 says that the state shall not discriminate among the citizens on the grounds of religion, caste, place of birth, sex, or any one of them. Done. So, from here, so it clearly gives an idea that our country is a secular one, even though the word secular was not mentioned in the constitution. Right to vote has been given to every citizen irrespective of his religion. It shows the secular character of India. Article 16, it provides for equality of opportunity in public employment irrespective of religion, place of birth, caste, residence, descent. So, if you understand, try to understand the constitution itself. The constitution is a secular constitution. Done. Not only, and that is why the government of the day, that is Mrs. Indira Gandhi's government, felt that preamble is the reflection of the philosophy of the constitution. So, if we have got provisions regarding secularism in the constitution, why not specifically we should mention it in the preamble, so that when someone will read the preamble, he will have an idea that India is a secular country. So, the provisions regarding secularism are already there. Even if you remove the word secular, it hardly matters, because the provisions regarding secularism will be there in the constitution. You cannot remove it, because the court itself had said, the Supreme Court, that secularism is a part of the basic structure of the constitution. Not only this, if you talk not only secularism, even if you talk about socialist, our constitution makers, when they were enacting the constitution of India, they had not deliberately mentioned the word socialist. Why? Because we were living in the era of Cold War, and if we would have mentioned the word socialist, an impression would have gone that India is biased towards socialism. Done. And the whole world was divided into two blocks, the US bloc and the USSR bloc. One was the capitalist bloc and the other one was the socialist bloc. But because of political reasons, Mrs. Gandhi felt that we should show that we are tilted towards socialism. Why? Because her authority was being challenged by the socialists in the country. Jayaprakash Narayan, he was opposing the emergency in this country. So, Mrs. Indira Gandhi wanted to prove that I am more socialist than the others. Then, not only this, she had got strained relations with US. She had got strained relations with US, and that is why she tilted towards the USSR. And apart from it, the Congress got its support, political support, from the leftists also. Why? Because Congress was bifurcated, and one group was led by Kamraj and the other one by Indira Gandhi. So she was fighting for her survival. She gave the slogan Garibi Hatao. She went for nationalization of the banks. She wanted to give a message that I am more socialist in this country. That is why the word socialist was incorporated in the preamble. That is a political reason why it was incorporated. So, it is not that even if the word socialist is not there, we are not moving towards socialism. Our brand of socialism is something very different. So, words hardly matters. The crux, the subject matter, the pith and substance, that matters. वर्ड नहीं मैटर करता है, ठीक है ना. तो जो किस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में बातें की गई है, दोज कॉन्टेक्स्ट मैटर. सो these were the things that we needed to develop an understanding on the preamble. I tried to discuss the things in detail because many types of questions will be asked from the preamble in the prelims examination as well as in the main examination. Now coming to the next topic that we will be starting today, it is part 1 of the Constitution. The Union and its territory. There are 4 articles in part 1, but we need to understand only 3 articles. There is no need to mug up, only certain things that you need to understand. Article 1, India, that is Bharat, shall be union of states. India, that is Bharat, shall be union of states. So when we say it shall be a union of states, here comes your first question from the prelims point of view. According to the Constitution of India, India is, answer will be union of states. Nowhere the word federal, federation or quasi-federal has been mentioned. So don't use your brain in the examination, keep it for some other good things in life. So yes, that India is quasi-federal. If the question is, what is the nature of Indian state? Then you should encircle quasi-federal. But if the question is, according to the Constitution or the Constitution of India describes India as, the answer will be union of states. Now the question before us is, why union of states? Why not federal or federation? Our constitution makers had in mind the American system. America terms itself as a federation. But how America was created? America was created by an agreement among the 13 British colonies. There were 13 British colonies and they had combined together by an agreement and they had created the United States of America. So our constitution makers had that thing in mind, that if we will use the word federal or federation, then an impression will go that the units, the states in India have made an agreement and India was created. But you see, the idea of India was there. The princely states, they merged with India. It is not that they had created India. That was in the minds of the constitution makers. You can write it. The Indian Union, it is the explanation of this statement. The Indian Union is not the result of an agreement among the units or the states full stop. The states in India have been created in accordance with the process mentioned in the Constitution, mostly because of administrative convenience mostly because of administrative convenience. Full stop. As the units or the states have not created the union, comma, they have no right to secede from it. They have no right to secede from it. Secede, S-E-C-E-D-E. S-E-C-E-D-E. So, because if you make an agreement, you have the right to secede from it. But you see, tomorrow, Uttarakhand cannot say that will not be a part of India, because then Uttarakhand will be asked, have you created India? Or you were created in accordance with the procedure which has been mentioned in this constitution. Similarly, Punjab, Haryana, Uttarakhand, any state you say, it cannot secede from India because it has been created as per the law which is mentioned in the constitution. It is not that Punjab, Haryana, Tamil Nadu, Chhattisgarh, they came together and said, let us make India. Now, there can be a question in your mind that, sir, if the 13 British colonies had created the United States of America, if they have the right to secede, your history teacher may say yes, because the historians go by facts. But a person of politics, he looks into the developmental part. That is the more practical part. You see that when 13 British colonies, they had made an agreement amongst themselves and they had created the United States of America, obviously they had in mind that we are creating this country, we can secede from it at any point of time, because we are making an agreement. Suppose if we are making an agreement, obviously we can secede from it. But this is what the historians know, that an agreement was done. But as a student of politics, we need to understand the development process, how the things develop. So initially, even after the agreement had taken place and when a new country is created, gradually what happens is that the central government becomes more and more powerful. Why? Because the central government assumes the defense power. The armed forces are there with the central government. It assumes more and more power, more powers of taxation. But it is a gradual process of development. And once the central government becomes very powerful, it is very difficult on the parts of the units to secede. So, the question that, sir, whether the units in America can secede, the answer is a big no. Answer is a big no. And only 13 British colonies had combined together, they had made an agreement. Now there are 50 states which have been created by the process of law. So bhul jao, who were all this original 13-1? Everything has been diluted. And when Abraham Lincoln was the President of America, at that point of time, some states tried to secede. Abraham Lincoln gave a message that if you wish to secede from America, you will have to fight war with America, because now it is the question of sovereignty of America. And this is how a teacher of politics will teach you. It is a gradual process of development when the central government becomes very powerful and the units, they are left with very lesser powers. So even if they wish, they cannot secede. So generally students ask such type of questions. That is why I answered it myself, that why there will be a query in your mind that, sir, in America the units can secede. I said historians may say yes, but a student of politics will say no to that. Now, so there was a dispute here also, India, Bharat, it hardly matters. Done. You can use Bharat, you can use India, it hardly matters. Done. Both the names can be used synonymously. There was a rumor in this country that the government is willing, the special session was called to make amendment in this article, but obviously no such experiments can be done, otherwise it will be from Delhi to Daulatabad. Done. Have you heard Delhi to Daulatabad? With whose name? Muhammad bin Tughlaq. हाँ, वो दिल्ली से दौलताबाद कैपिटल लेके चला गया पूरा, समझ गए? So it will be just like Delhi to Daulatabad. What will your passport termed as? Everywhere the things will have to be changed. Everywhere the things will have to be changed. But obviously people were gossiping that now India will be removed, only Bharat will be there. It is clear, so India, that is Bharat, shall be union of states. So even the nomenclature Bharat was used in the G20 summit, it was not unconstitutional. It was not unconstitutional, going by that only. Now, from here, one question I told you, understanding I developed. Another question that can be asked, you can write as note, NOTE. The territory of India consists of the territories of the states the union territories, and such other territory that may be acquired So, from the prelims point of view, such questions can be there. And when we say territory of India, so in the map of India, you will find the territories of the states, the territories of the union territories, that is the union territories, and we have such other territory that may be acquired. For example, India and Bangladesh had exchanged some enclaves. So we acquired, and that was put in the map of India. Done. So such questions can be asked in the prelims examination from article number 1. No question outside it will be asked from article number 1. This is the understanding that you need to have. Now coming to article number 2. Article 2 is never asked in the examination. No understanding is also required, but you can write it for your continuity. Article 2 authorizes the Parliament to admit into the union or establish new states. Basically, if you talk about article 2, it is an incomplete article. Why it is an incomplete article? It just says the Parliament may by law admit into the union or establish new states on the terms and conditions as may think fit. I don't ask you to write each and everything, there is no need to mug up all the articles. You just need to develop certain articles. Such Article 2, Parliament has been authorized to admit into the Union or to establish new states. But how it can be done? This process has not been mentioned in article number 2. How a new state will be established, how a new state will be created, this has not been mentioned. So that is why this article is of no use for us. And that is why we need to understand not article number 2, but article number 3. Article 3 authorizes the Parliament Article 3 authorizes the Parliament to form a new state or increase the area of any state or increase the area of any state or alter the boundaries of any state or alter the boundaries of any state or alter the name of any state. There is a query from one of our friends from online class that why word shall be used in article 1. You see, I don't know your name, it is by some code 231171. So, you see, when our constitution makers were drafting the constitution, they had used the word done that India, that is Bharat, shall be union of states. So, at that point of time, India was to be declared as union of states. That is why they have used the word shall, because he has said that's a why word shall be used in part. So, it is not that. In fact, what you can do, India, that is Bharat, is a union of states. You can write like this now, it hardly matters, because everywhere such nomenclatures have been given. There shall be a president of India, means they provide the constitution at that point of time provided for a president of India. So, you can simply write that article 52 provides for the president of India, like this only. There is no need to write that there shall be. We can say I was talking to you article 1, that is why I read what exactly the constitution says. That was my idea. Now, when we talk about article number 3, article 3 basically says that the Parliament can form new states. How the new states can be formed? It can be by clubbing two states. It can be by clubbing some parts of a state, some part from the other state, and a new state can be created. It can be by bifurcation of the states also, the new state can be created. Then the boundaries can also be altered. For example, recently I heard that there is a discussion going on to take some districts from Bihar and to include in Uttar Pradesh, and to take some districts from Uttar Pradesh and add on to Bihar. Just a talk was there. So, the Parliament has got power to do this also. Some districts from this state can be merged with another state. Some districts can be taken from one state, it can be merged to another state. You can change the boundary of a state also. And not only this, the names of the state can also be changed. It is a very general thing. But our concern is how such type of changes can be made. So, article 3 basically it deals with the process for the formation of a new state. Now, before I proceed further, I will tell you that how a law is made in the country. You see, when the government decides that we will make a law, for example, suppose if a law is to be made on the change in the criminal justice system or the criminal procedure code, then the concerned ministry will prepare the draft of the bill. So, whenever the law is made by the legislature, first of all a bill is made. Bill is the draft of the law. The bill is prepared by the concerned ministry. After the bill is drafted, it is not that the minister will take the copy of the bill and present it in the legislature, and then the cabinet will hold the meeting. Cabinet is the highest decision making body of this country, which is headed by the Prime Minister, and it consists of all the senior ministers. So the cabinet will meet and it will approve the bill. So approval of the cabinet will mean that the bill has been accepted as the government bill. After that, the bill will be presented in the Lok Sabha or the Rajya Sabha. And how it is done in the Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, that we will be discussing later on. Now, coming to a bill for the formation of a new state. Suppose West Bengal is to be divided into two parts, that is West Bengal and Gorkhaland. Now, how Gorkhaland will be created? Dekho, the demand can be from any sector. It can be from the people, it can be a political demand, whatever it is. First of all, the central government will decide that whether Gorkhaland will be created or not. So, once the central government decides, these are informal things not mentioned in the books. So, when the central government decides that okay, let us have Gorkhaland, then what will happen? The draft of the bill will be prepared. It will be termed as West Bengal Reorganization Bill 2023, because the bill will be for reorganization of West Bengal, reorganization of West Bengal into West Bengal and Gorkhaland. So, the bill will be prepared by the Ministry of Home Affairs. After that, I will make you to write it, not an issue, let us understand it. So, after the draft of, and in the draft of the bill, everything will be written. The name of the two states, the capital, the high courts, how the assets will be distributed, everything will be written down in that bill. How many districts will be taken from West Bengal and Gorkhaland will be created. And after the bill will be prepared by the Ministry of Home Affairs, then it will be approved by the cabinet. After the approval of the cabinet, what we had discussed, the bill is to be presented in the Parliament, Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, any house. But such a bill will not be directly presented in the Parliament. First of all, the bill has to be sent to the President for his recommendation. Without his recommendation, the bill cannot be introduced in the Parliament. But the President will not recommend the bill of his own. First of all, the President will send the bill to the West Bengal State Legislative Assembly for its views. And the West Bengal Assembly will have to give the views, not consent, views within a specified time fixed by the President. It can be 1 month, it can be 15 days, it can be 10 days. So, after the lapse of the time frame which is given by the President, it will be assumed that West Bengal has given its views. Even if it has rejected, it hardly matters. So, here the views, and after the lapse of the time frame, means after the view has been given or not been given by West Bengal, then the bill will be presented in the Parliament. The Parliament will have to pass the bill by a simple majority. And not only this, in the Parliament, if the bill undergoes some amendments, for example, in the original bill that was sent to West Bengal, it was mentioned that 12 districts will be taken from West Bengal and Gorkhaland will be created. Suppose in the Parliament it is amended that 15 districts will be taken out from West Bengal and Gorkhaland will be created, the bill may not be referred to West Bengal again. And after the Parliament passes the bill, after the assent of the President, a new state will be created, that is Gorkhaland will be created. So, if you remember, in one of the classes I had told you that the states are at the mercy of the central government. This is how the new state is created. You can note it. There is no need. Even if the bill undergoes an amendment in the Parliament later on also, there is no need to send the bill again. If the Parliament wishes, it can send the bill, but there is no constitutional requirement that the bill should be sent again to the state. You see, Andhra Pradesh, it had rejected that will not have Telangana, but even then Telangana was created. You can write it. The draft bill is prepared by the Department of States, underline it, Department of States. Department mein D will be capital, states mein S will be capital. Department of States, in bracket you write Ministry of Home Affairs. So, in every ministry we have got different departments. For example, in the Ministry of Home Affairs, we have got different departments like Department of Internal Security, Department of Official Language, Department of Border Roads, then we have got Department of the State of Jammu and Kashmir, we have got Department of States. So, the Department of State, it is given the task of framing or drafting the bill. Such type of questions the UPSC is very fond of asking, because in your syllabus it is, in your governance syllabus it is mentioned ministries and departments. So, from there such type of questions will be asked, that which department has been given the task of framing a bill on the reorganization of the states. It is the Department of States. Then next point you can write, such a bill can be introduced in either house of the Parliament either house of the parliament on the recommendation of the president, on the recommendation of the president. Next, the president has to first refer the bill to the concerned state legislature for expressing its views within a specified time. Done. Underline views. Then next, after the lapse of the time frame, specified by the president, comma, it is assumed that the state has given its views. Next, after that the bill is to be introduced in the parliament, Next, the parliament is not bound by the views of the state legislature. Next, in the parliament, even if the bill undergoes a large change in content, it may not be referred again to the concerned state legislature. Next, the bill has to be passed by a simple majority. In the houses of the parliament. And after the president's assent, assent, a new state is created. Done. Now, in the next paragraph you can write, the summary of Article 3 is, the summary of Article 3 is, the states in India, the states in India are destructible. The states in India are destructible. Full stop. Then one more sentence you can write. The summary of Articles 1 and 3, the summary of Articles 1 and 3 is that India is an indestructible union. India is an indestructible union with destructible states. India is an indestructible union with destructible states. So the union cannot be destroyed. That was the summary of article number 1, where means the states cannot secede from the union, but the states are destructible. So the union cannot be destructed, but the states are destructible. So this was article number 1 and 3. Even if you do not remember article number 2, it hardly matters. That does not mean that you will not compete in the examination. But yes, even if you do not remember word by word article 3, it hardly matters. You need to remember this model. Done. And the points that you have written. Your work is done. Now,
so suppose when it's tunnel and added, suppose Sikkim was the case, so we follow the same model, or is there any change in the process?
basically, when we talk about the constitution aspect, obviously there will be change in the constitution, and because the parliament has the power to admit into the union new state. So the parliament has the power, and here Sikkim was a kingdom which was made a part of India. So obviously we cannot follow this particular process, because where the bill will be referred, done. So it was by an agreement that was done. So different processes are there, because you are admitting we can say a part of the other country in India. Now, when we talk about article number 4, coming to some more technical things, when a new state will be created, there will be amendments in schedule number 1, because in the schedule number 1 the name of the states are there, and schedule number 4 also there will be amendment, because in schedule number 4 the representation of the states in the Rajya Sabha is there. That has also to be done. So that can be done automatically when a new state is created. Done. So you can write article 4. Article 4 clause 1. Article 4 clause 1 holds that any law made under article 2 or 3 article 3 contains such provisions, will contain such provisions for the amendment of the first schedule, and the fourth schedule as may be necessary Not only this, other amendments can also be made which can be supplemental. So here in Article 4 Clause 1 it is written that if a new state is created, or if under Article 2 if a part is admitted, just as you said Sikkim. So when a part will be admitted, then there will be amendments in two areas. One is schedule number 1. You see here the name of Gorkhaland will be added, and schedule number 4. In schedule number 4, we have got representation of the states in the Rajya Sabha, that how many members will be there in the Rajya Sabha from this state. So यहाँ पे क्या होगा, Gorkhaland will be a new entry, because representatives will come from Gorkhaland also. So it is an addition in schedule number 4. And West Bengal, the representation will change, because it will be distributed between West Bengal and Gorkhaland. So changes will be there. That is what we have written here. That is, if a law is made under Article 2 or 3, means if a new state is created or if it is admitted, then there has to be changes in schedule number 1 and schedule number 4. Then next point, Article 4 Clause 2. Article 4 Clause 2 holds that a law made under Article 2 or 3 for the amendment of Schedule 1 and 4, not to be considered as an amendment of the Constitution, is not to be considered as an amendment of the Constitution for the purposes of Article 368, for the purposes of Article 368. देखो, such type of you need to highlight Article 4 Clause 2. I have used my own language here. Now what Article 4 Clause 2 says? It says that suppose if an amendment has been made in schedule number 1 and schedule number 4, then for amendment of the Constitution, the procedure has been mentioned in article number 368, and in article 368 it has been mentioned that a constitution amendment bill has to be introduced in either house of the parliament, and both the houses of the parliament need to pass the bill sitting separately by a special majority that we had discussed in the last class. So basically here now Article 4 Clause 1 says that if a law is made under Article 2 or 3, it can have provisions for the amendment of schedule number 1 and schedule number 4. Means there will be automatic amendment. Suppose if the parliament passes the bill that Gorkhaland will be created, the president signs the bill, then automatically in schedule number 1 the name of Gorkhaland will be mentioned, and in schedule number 4 the members from in the Rajya Sabha from West Bengal will be changed and Gorkhaland will be added here automatically. There is no need for any separate constitutional amendment bill for that purpose. It will be done automatically. ये कहाँ लिखा है? Article 4 Clause 2 में लिखा है that it is not to be considered as a constitutional amendment for the purpose of Article 368, Technically, it is an amendment to the constitution, because any change in the constitution will be termed as a constitutional amendment bill. It has to be passed in the same manner which is mentioned in Article 368. But Article 4 Clause 2 says that such an amendment will be automatic. There will be no need for following the procedure mentioned in Article 368. Now you will say, sir, what is the requirement for it? Suppose Article 4 Clause 2 is not there in the constitution. Suppose Article 4 Clause 2 is not there in the constitution. Only Article 4 Clause 1 is there. Then after a new state will be created, you will put the name of Gorkhaland here. Anyone can go to the court of law. Anyone can go to the Supreme Court that Schedule 1 has been amended and Article 368 has not been followed. It is violation of the constitution. Now, once it is written in Article 4 Clause 2, if someone goes to the Supreme Court, then the Supreme Court will show him Article 4 Clause 2, that an amendment made under Article 2 or 3 is not to be considered as a constitutional amendment for the purpose of Article 368. No doubt it is an amendment, but the process that is mentioned in Article 368 is not to be used here in this case. Everything has been clear-cut written down. Otherwise, there will be conflict. People will start going to the court. So, it is a type of ordinary bill, we can say. But it will be termed as an amendment to the constitution. But the process which has been mentioned in Article 368 is not to be followed here. This was all that your constitution says regarding the creation of a new state. Before we proceed further, I will take a query from Hariharan. Sir, is it like difference between legislators at center and state by ignoring views even though both elected by the people? The question that our friend has put, this question is basically in relation to this aspect that we had discussed, the views, that why the consent of the state is not taken, why the views? Because they are also elected, if I am understanding the question correctly, that even if they are also elected directly by the people, and this basically it concerns the state of West Bengal, why not the consent is mandatory, why only the views? Generally such type of articles come when there is creation of new state. And when even Telangana was created, there were views by different scholars on this, that even though the Andhra Pradesh State Legislative Assembly had discarded the idea of having Telangana, why Telangana was created? It is against the federal structure also, the federal nature also. But you see, here our views hardly matters, because this thing was put in the constitution by our constitution makers, the Constituent Assembly. So we need to understand the Constituent Assembly debates for that purpose, because everything was discussed in the Constituent Assembly. So in the Constituent Assembly, when this aspect was being discussed, that is how a new state will be created, why not consent, why the views will be required, our constitution makers had in mind that within the state also there may be ignorance of the interest of certain group of or certain sections or certain areas also. It can happen in a state that if the MLAs are from the larger part, they can ignore the interest of a smaller part also. So if such a situation happens, then the smaller part will be at the mercy of the state only. So that is why the consent was not made mandatory. Now you say, sir, so then why it is sent? Even if the views are not binding? In democracy, basically, the more the forums of discussion, the more strong your democracy will be. Some ideas may come from the state legislatures also, that no, these many areas, this many areas should be given to that state. Some logical views can also be given, which can be incorporated by the parliament. And our constitution makers have been proved right many a times. Telangana was an example of this. Why the demand for Telangana came? The demand for Telangana basically was not a political demand in the beginning. And in Telangana, basically, Telangana is a resource-rich area. But Telangana was neglected by the legislators of Andhra Pradesh. Because most of the legislators of the Andhra Pradesh, means the members of the legislature, they were from the Rayalaseema area and coastal Andhra. So, and the resources that Andhra had, they were being diverted for the other parts from where the majority of the MLAs used to come. And Telangana was ignored, even though resources were coming from Telangana. So, even if the resources were being pumped for the development of Telangana, because farmers were committing suicide in Telangana, there was lesser development in Telangana. Even though the central government was pumping money, that money was not reaching to the people. So the demand for Telangana came because of that reason. The people of Telangana felt that if we will have our own state, at least our resources will be used for our own purposes. Nowadays our resources are there, that is being used for the development of other areas. The other areas are being developed, our area is being ignored. We are contributing to the economy of the state. Then the demand for Telangana came.